Yo, it's a beautiful day. It's the last edition of the Parliament for this week. Today, of course, is Friday, 24th September 20. The Parliament will discuss topical issues that affect you and I as citizens and dwellers of our dear country, Nigeria. My name is OK Ongbugbono the Double O, and the Speaker of the Parliament. Today on the Parliament, we have something very interesting, something that is hurting us, is worrying us, is disturbing us so much. 3 days ago, and that was precisely, was it Tuesday? We witnessed what would I say we have never witnessed before. It is a regular rainfall that we witness every now and again, but the resultant effect of the rains for that day was something probably may not be unprecedented, but in recent times we've not really witnessed something as bad as that. A lot of roads in Port Harcourt were badly affected by the rains that came down on our major roads. And some roads that hitherto had not really been having issues with flood were submerged in flood. Someone was talking to me about it. He said his Jeep was almost entirely submerged. If it was a normal salon car, it would have gotten to the roof. Because it got up to the screens level. That's where the flood was. It started rising. That happened somewhere around the RA Abacha Road area. If you go to the town area along where you have the Port Harcourt Mall close to Government House, that area we had serious flood. That even the Port Harcourt Mall got flooded, unprecedented. That one, it has never happened before. You go to Audley Road, there was massive flood at Audley. Saw the effects. Then the government now set up modalities and now said they would do this, they would do that as a result of the flooding to see how they can curb it and all that. We'll be discussing about the flood today. Flood in Port Harcourt, and may I add, and its environs. Flooding, what are the challenges that we're encountering with flooding right here in Port Harcourt? How can we come out of it? What is the cause of this flood? What is bringing this flood? How can we, do we have solutions, ready solutions that we can count on and say, yes, these are the things we can do to ensure that this doesn't happen again, or maybe as a stopgap measure? Who is even responsible for the flooding? You? Myself? Nature? The government? Who do we blame? And very importantly, what role do town planning play in the terms of ensuring that we don't have flooding in our land? My guest is a town planner, so you see why that other aspect about town planning is very important. My guest is a town planner. In fact, he is the National Publicity Secretary of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, talking about Edmond Mwokeze. Town planner Edmond Mwokeze. That's their address. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Double O.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are yourself?
My name is OK.
And you're always okay. As the Speaker of the Parliament.
It's good to have you join us. This issue of flood is really bothering us. You know, our dear Garden City. You come out into the gardens. A lot of people miss their appointments. A building collapsed yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was attributed to the flood.
Yeah.
People were stuck in traffic. People's vehicles. As someone said, anything that has to do with electrical function of his vehicle has crashed. The car only manages to come on. Nothing else works. Just comes on, and luckily, flooding is something that we cannot immediately quantify. A lot of losses and all that. Let's begin actually from the start. Let's see if we can attempt to find out what's the cause, what's the primary cause of flooding.
Okay, thank you, the Speaker of the Parliament. I also want to greet Port Harcourt residents and Rivers people. Welcome to our program for today. First of all, we need to understand what flooding is. Flooding is an overflow of water that submerges land that is usually dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Water overflows.
Yes.
And the land that is usually dry is submerged.
Exactly.
So what you see is water instead of land.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when that happens or when that occurs, we say flooding has taken place.
Okay.
Now, we have various forms of flooding. You have river flooding, like it's been experienced by communities that are along the coastline, the river banks, the Orashi region. Naimet talked about it. Nema also talked about it. So they always have perennial flooding. That's river flooding. We also have coastal flooding, has been experienced by communities that are within the coastline. And then you also have the flash flooding. What I just talked about are just the commonest ones. There are other forms of flooding. And then you have flash flooding, which is what we experienced a few days ago in Port Harcourt.
That's flash flooding.
Exactly. And the reason why it is referred to as flash flooding is because it is caused by heavy and intense rainfall. When you have heavy and intense rainfall, in a short period of time, the water converges. You understand? The whole place floods, and then by the time you know it, in few hours, it causes damage to society, it causes damage to humanity, it causes damage to residents, it causes damage to businesses, it causes damage to properties. In fact, you can't quantify, if you were to quantify in monetary terms the cost of that flooding in the city of Port Harcourt, the speaker, I can assure you that it will be running into billions of naira.
I agree.
Yeah, so when that happens, it causes damage in few minutes, in few hours. And then you discover that in about few hours also, the water disappears. The place you talked about where the flood water, submerged cars. I also drove past.
It affected you too.
Exactly, But by the time I returned, in the evening, the waters were no longer there. So you'll be looking at, where are the flood? Where is the flood? So that's why it's usually referred to as flash flooding. Now, let me now go to the question which you asked, which has to do with what are the causes. Now, the causes of flash flooding are in twofold. One, you have the natural causes, and then you have the man-made causes.
Natural causes and man-made causes.
Exactly. Now, when we talk about natural causes, of course, you're referring to nature. You're referring to those things that are beyond your control. For example, that flooding was a fall that we had on that day. The rain started over the night, and for over 8 hours, it was raining, torrential rainfall. So that, of course, is a natural phenomenon. It wasn't done by anybody, and the resultant effect was what we saw. Now, the reason why, let me also go this way. Let me digress a little bit. The reason we also have natural causes or natural phenomenon deal with us in that manner means is that our environmental setting is a little bit is different from what you have up north or even in the southeast, because our topography is virtually flat. If you look at the contour of Port Harcourt from the highest point to the lowest point, you'll be looking at something about 50 meters topography. Now, you're also looking at our geology in terms of our soil type, the kind of soil you have here, and its ability to allow infiltration of water and to retain water. And then, of course, precipitation and what we refer to as average rainfall. The rainfall here is very, very high. And we have that intense rainfall between the months of April to September, as we are now in September. So all these are part of the issues, and these are climatic issues. These are environmental issues. You and I are not responsible for that. And so when you now have this intense rainfall in this kind of difficult terrain that you find yourself, then, of course, you could have flooding. So that's why I'm saying that there are natural causes that are also responsible for flooding. Now, let's now go to the man-made causes. Well, however, even the natural causes can be controlled.
Okay, we'll go to the control.
So we'll go to the control later on. Yeah, so I just need to make that point that even the natural causes can be controlled. Now, you now have the man-made causes, and that is where most of our problem lies. In spite of the fact that, yes, we may be in a difficult terrain, we have our environmental challenges, but most of our problem lies within the man-made causes. And what are those man-made issues? Number one, you have improper building regulations, improper layouts in the first place. when you have a situation where you have a neighborhood that has been laid out in an improper manner, that means that that neighborhood was not properly planned. So the effect is that you're also going to be having buildings that are not well positioned. Because if you have a proper plan, your planning would have been able to understand your topography, what we call the geospatial information, and then it will show you the direction of flow of your storm water. And then you'll be able to align your buildings and then your storm drains in a way and manner that water flows seamlessly. Okay. So when you have a layout that has not factored in all these issues, it then means that you could have buildings blocking drains, building blocking natural channels, buildings not well drained. That's why you saw some persons had houses that were submerged in the flood, apart from the ones you saw on the road.
True.
I saw videos of people that even in their houses were flooded. So that, of course, is a result of when you have layouts, neighborhoods that are not well planned or not properly planned. Now, you also have the issues of poor and inefficient drainage facilities.
That's some major issue around here.
Yes, when you have poor and inefficient drainage facilities, you know that one key thing about stormwater is that the first thing that comes into your mind is that where is this water going to discharge? Where is your outlet? Okay, now from your outlet, then you now begin to look at your mains, what we call the collector. How will this storm be collected? This storm water be collected such that it discharges into your outlet seamlessly. Then you now look at your reticulation system, which is your gutters or your drains, where these waters will flow from your building or from your plot to the gutter or your drains. And then from there, it connects to the mains, which is your collector, and then the water discharges into your outlet. So you can see the various levels. Now, you must be able to have a facility that is well connected. That's why That's why we say stormwater system is a network. Now, once you have a distortion in that network, you always have flooding. So the issues of poor and inefficient drainage facilities is a key factor to some of the issues that can be attributed to the flooding we had in Port Harcourt. And then, of course, that will also take us to the issues of blockage of these facilities, where some of the drains and gutters are silted. Some of the collectors, have been blocked. Yeah, they've been blocked by issues of dumping of refuse, which, of course, it's something that we've always talked about, where once it rains, you discover that most people just dump their refuse inside the drain. So that it's also part of the man-made issues that could result into flooding. And then there are also issues of land reclamation. We mustn't take that away, because of our challenges here, the fact that most of our land is a wetland, and then there is, of course, pressure on land for development. And so what happens is that most times we have lands that are being reclaimed for building purposes. Now, when you have that situation where you sandfield and then you reclaim land, what that means is that you also reduce the capability of land to also retain water. You understand?
So the reclaiming of land would entail maybe the land not being maybe a swampy kind of land. Then you now sandfield. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, we're talking about when you sandfield. When you sandfield, those virgin land, those wetlands. Okay. So what that naturally means is that those are locations, those are places that serve as basins. They collect water. So now when you reclaim them,
so you can build on them.
You build on them.
Be able to collect water.
Exactly.
The water will look for where to.
Exactly. Water will always find its level.
True.
So the issues of land reclamation is also one of the challenges. That's why I say it's a man-made factor that contributes to flooding.
You've listed a whole lot. But
yes, and there are a whole lot more.
But we'll look primarily at the areas that are affecting us right here in our state.
Okay.
But let me remind you that this is the Parliament on Wish 99.5 FM Port Harcourt. We're talking about the challenges of flooding in Port Harcourt and its environs. And I have with me town planner Edmond Nwokeze. He is the National Publicity Secretary of National Institution of Town Planners. And we are talking about this issue of flooding. No thanks to what is happening recently as it has to do with flooding in our dear state, River State. We're warned, not that we're not warned. We saw it coming, but maybe we didn't understand that it will hit us this hard or maybe this soon. Okay, let's look at Port Harcourt, for instance. What are the major causes of flooding in Port Harcourt?
Okay. It's not far from the things I've mentioned. What I've just done is to localize the causes of flooding in Port Harcourt. So like I mentioned earlier, reclamation of land is one of them. Blockage of our drainage channels is one of them. If you go look at most of those natural drainage channels, Ntawoba, the Waja, you will see that they've been narrowed because land adjoining them have been reclaimed for building purposes, and we forget that we are urbanizing.
Okay.
Population is growing. So if Ntawoba was say 15 meters 20 years ago, and as I'm talking about the width now, let's say it's 20 meters, and it remains 20 meters as at today, when we are having more pressure on development, when we are losing our green fields to brown fields, meaning that we are having more buildings, when we are having more paved areas. So what that tells you, and of course you won't take away the fact that climate change is here with us. We're having increase in rainfall, more intense rainfall. So what that tells you is that it may no longer be able to serve the purpose for which it is created for. What that means is that it has outlived its carrying capacity. And that was why you saw that the flooding that happened around the GRA axis, we are along the Ntawoba Creek, because it was the creek itself that overflew. You had an overflow from the creek to the adjoining buildings. So it tells you that, as it were, the creek can no longer serve the purpose for which it is designed for. And that happens to all other components of your network. And so by the time we'll be going to the solutions, and of course I'll be telling you some of the things that we need to do to deal with this issue. So land reclamation is key. Blockage of those channels is key. And then, of course, the dumping of refuse. If you see when it is raining, that's when people want to discharge their refuse, dispose their refuse rather.
Fun. Some people may not understand it when we say people dispose their refuse during rain. During the rains, because maybe in your area you don't do it, you don't even think about it. But in some areas it's fun. I've witnessed it firsthand. It's fun, real fun. Like, and then they follow go to the tea, they go, wow. You see the deaths flowing in the rain, and it's as though you've actually disposed of your debris, whereas it's going to collect somewhere and block a canal. So would we really blame for all this? Who are we blaming? The citizens, the government, who are we blaming?
Well, the blame comes in various layers and levels. There's a part for the government, and then there's a part for the people. Okay. Maybe let me start with the government. And the reason why I will start with the government is that it is we have entrusted leadership. We have voted for people, and then we expect them to deliver good governance. And then for us, we will always say that town planning answers to good governance. So, the moment you see issues of flooding, it tells you one thing, that there is a failure of the planning system.
Failure in planning system.
Exactly. That's the first thing that comes to mind, is that your town planning system has failed. Because your town planning system should be able to contain issues of flooding and issues of urban pathologies. So that tells you that you don't have a proper planning system. And for us, we think that successive governments have not been able to do what is needful in respect to addressing the issues of stormwater in Port Harcourt. And it will surprise you that beginning from the first Port Harcourt master plan that was done in 1959 by an Egyptian, an Israeli professor, Professor Elion, it captured the major conduits channel of stormwater discharge in Port Harcourt. Even when we had the 1975 master plan that was done by specialist consort, those same channels were also captured. And then, of course, the recent Greater Port Harcourt master plan, you will see clearly that those plans have designed and designated areas that must be allowed to remain in their pristine stage. And then those are rights of ways that government will now construct canals that will discharge stormwater. But if I ask you, how many of those canals do we have? How many of them have we been able to design properly? So you will see that there has been a failure of successive government in respect to dealing with the issues of stormwater. And let me even surprise you that Port Harcourt had even a stormwater master plan that was done by the Dasa group sometime. But the challenge we had was that master plan was never implemented. It was never implemented. It never saw the light of day. So if we had implemented that Port Harcourt stormwater master plan that was done by the Handasa group, and we have looked at the stormwater components of the Port Harcourt master plan 1975 that got expired, and even the Greater Port Harcourt master plan that has a stormwater component, we would have been able to deal with our stormwater issues. We would have been able to deal with our flooding issues. And so that's why I say that even the environmental issues I talked about, as in nature being part of the causes of the flooding, you can handle that. You can deal with that with planning. And that's where I think that government has not done much. And you see, government has the power of eminent domain. What that means is that government has the power to acquire land for overriding public interest.
Putting it in straight terms,
Yeah.
means that if you have your property on a canal,
or along those canals, along those drains,
the government can say, get out.
Of course.
And reclaim it.
Of course. The government can acquire those properties and get them demolished.
With that compensation.
Well, of course, the issue of compensation will always be there, but that's a different ballgame altogether.
But if you build on those canals and it's obvious that you are in the wrong, I mean, the government can take it from you.
Of course, even without compensation, yeah. But I don't want us to deal with the issue of compensation, so it doesn't derail the argument.
That is not our argument.
Yes. But the issue is that government has the power to acquire those properties and to demolish those properties for overriding public interest.
But let's move on.
Okay.
We're talking about who is responsible.
Oh yeah. So I think that government must show leadership. Okay, and because government also has the authority to make regulations. Do you understand? As to say you can do what, you cannot do what. Okay, especially in respect to our town planning laws. As to, for example, there could be a government regulation to say that there will be no building 30 meters or your setback along those stormwater right of way is 30 meters. So it tells you that you will have buildings 30 meters away from your stormwater canals. But of course, you don't have that at the moment.
We don't. Even the one that has to do with major roads, they say it's how many meters again? I've forgotten.
So no, the reason for that is that with technology, digital equation models and all of that, you can predict flood level. Yeah. Even in 1 in 50 years, even in 1 in 100 years time, you can predict our flood level. Yeah, so if we're able to predict those flood levels and we see that this is the expanse of land we need to set apart for to deal with our stormwater issues, then we can come up with regulations. So that's why I said that government has a responsibility in that aspect, and government has not been able to do that.
Taken care of. I was trying to point out the number of the meters that has been given between a major road and the house you build. When you go to a land that has not been acquired, that is just fallow, like a forest, and people start dishing out, like just say from here to here, Narudo. So from that dimension. You just fix maybe small gutters by the side, and that's all. And when flood comes, you can't take care of it. You see, some of our areas that had flooded, there was somewhere I was living before. The way that place was, initially it wasn't flooding because people had not started building. So when the rains come, it will go settle in those fallow lands and that nobody eats. But when people started building, everybody was elevating their own structures. And when the rains comes, it goes to the road, and that place was a real mess. There was no plan for gutters, nothing at all. People just built houses. So when you talk about failure from the government, I think in this aspect, the government have not really done us well, because they're not taking charge of land. Like say,
land development.
They're not taking charge. They're not saying this is the space. Everything you do must be according to this plan. You can't go against this plan. People are buying off market spaces for markets for
double O. That's where the issue of regulation comes in. You're even talking about people buying off market spaces. Let me even shock you that people are buying off land that are supposed to remain in their pristine state without development. Look, it's not all land you develop. Look, we must understand that for us to survive, we must.
What kind of land do you have that you shouldn't develop?
I'll give you an example. Now, if you look at the Greater Port Harcourt Master Plan, there's a Rukpoko forest. There's a wetland that comes all the way from Alo through where you have the Loyola Jesuit to Rukpoko. It's a wetland. So the master plan has designated that area as a conservation area. So what that means is that you do not develop such land, but you can use them for other purposes, for recreation purposes, as open spaces. These are places where you can develop them into active recreation, where you go for your canoeing, for your fishing, and for other uses.
What's it called again? A pleasure park.
Yeah, the pleasure park one is more of it's something like that, but that's an artificial creation. You understand? So this kind of land can be converted for such purposes. So that what it does is that when you have rainfall, it can still act as that basin that collects water, and then it still serves your recreation function, and then it still retains nature in its pristine state. So you don't develop such land. You have one in the Igruta axis, we call it the Igruta forest also. And today it's been subdivided by the community. So what happens is that when you subdivide such land and you develop them, and of course you sandfield and reclaim, now what will happen? Water will come back. The water will push back. There will always be a pushback.
All these areas, like although some people say things like these areas are for their gods, like they have shrines there. Those areas could actually serve as areas where they should remain, not because of the...
Yeah, well, if you want to bring in the issues of heritage, and culture.
I know there was one on Rumibo, there's one in the big tree at Orazi that has gone off. There used to be a forest. There was somewhere at Rumibo, someone had to buy it. People were saying, hey. But I think places like that, the reserve, they could serve as this purpose.
Exactly. In fact, there was this case where, when some of the youths were subdividing that land, the elders came and said, look, our people don't build on this place. This place has been for ages our place for fishing. You understand? And now you're subdividing it, and the elders kicked against it, but the youth said, no, it is our land. We need land. We want to sell land. We want to develop. You understand? So what I'm saying is that these are issues that town planning will take care of. Yes, because government will now be able to acquire those land. You understand, and make sure that nobody develops in such areas. So that's why I'm saying that there has been failure of successive government in dealing with these issues. Now, apart from the government, you also have, of course, the people, and the things we do, the untoward practices,
the dumping of refuse.
Dumping of refuse in gutters and drains, reclaiming land without recourse to regulation. There are places where people naturally build their houses along the drainage path. And even when neighbors approach them to say, God, this is where, you can see that this is where the water usually passes. The man tells you, no, it's my land. And I'm just within my space. I bought this land, so allow me. And you see what happened when the flood came. When the flood came, what happened? Some of those areas, the people were forced to open up their fences for the water to go through. Because if you do not do that, you know what will happen? The fences will fall. So anywhere you saw that people had to open up their fences to allow water to go through, it tells you that those are supposed to be channels of what? Storm water. Those are supposed to be passages that water was supposed to pass through.
Sometimes these channels are redirected because some people might have built on theirs and they redirect it and it comes this other way. So it might be heading towards you, not because you're... I may be wrong.
Yeah,
I'm thinking it might be coming towards you because it's redirected from another source and it's affecting you.
That's another factor, of course. If someone is able to reclaim his land or sanfill his land to a height, and perhaps that's supposed to be where the drainage channel is, of course the water will push back, except the water is able to rise above that level, then it will go through. So those are also issues. But basically, what I'm saying in essence is that if we're able to have proper town planning, then we would have been able to look at our topo maps, look at our geospatial information, and be able to...
Those jargons are huge for...
Okay. Just look at the level of land. You always have... every land has high points and low points. So you'll be able to look at the level of land, and then you'll be able to design your stormwater. Even in your site, it will surprise you that some buildings are not even well designed. Because ordinarily, if your buildings are well designed, stormwater should flow from the building to the drain.
Which means it will bring us to the point whereby people do not patronize the professionals to build. Like rather than meet an architect of course, to draw a plan for you and look at the topography and arrange your house properly. You just give what are they called? Draftsman.
It's a medicine man. It's a one engineer will do it for you.
Exactly. So he just puts up a little drawing and he just build.
Yeah, and that's why I think I need to call out our professionals here, be it town planners, architects, land surveyors, engineers. I think we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. Yes, I understand the challenges are there. You may say government will not listen to you and all that, but I think we're not doing enough, because if we are, we should be able to bring in some of these things and even advise our clients. Look, there are some sites that you cannot develop them without a topo map. So if you're an architect, for example, and you've been engaged by a client to do a design, you should be able to say, my clients, look, we will need a topo map for this area. So what that means is that you're going to engage the services of a surveyor who will come and produce that information for you. And that's why in the built environment, it's not a one-man show.
Saying some of our professionals will decide to just, make I just do this.
Of course, now you just want to do architect, do your work and walk away. So we must understand that we must work as a team. It's not even when I talk about town planning, it's not a one-man show. You understand? For example, if you want to design a proper stormwater plan for the city, you will need hydrologists, you will need climatologists, you will need surveyors, you will need engineers, you will need town planners. So we must work as a team and be able to provide solutions to our human settlement issues.
Okay. All right, this is 99.5 FM Port Harcourt, Nigeria's business radio. Our focus today on the Parliament is the challenges of flooding in Port Harcourt and its environs. I have with me town planner Edmond Mwukeze. Our time is running out. We would be able to take your calls in a bit, but let's talk about solutions first. Yeah. But if you have any serious concerns, drop it on our WhatsApp and text message platform 0908 381 3990 0908 381 3990. Send text messages, send WhatsApp messages, or you chill a little bit. We'll throw open the phone lines in a bit. All right, let's talk about solutions. What are the solutions? Or are there solutions?
Mr. Speaker, there are solutions. It's the one thing that nature, God has done, is to give man the ability to subdue his environment, the ability to manage his environment, the ability to profess solutions to his environmental problems. So whether you are in a temperate region, or you are in a tropical region, or you are in an arid region, nature has given us that ability to profess solutions, and that's why you'll see even in difficult places like Holland, that is below sea level. You have wonderful cities, and they've been able to have a defense mechanism. They've been able to build resilience for their cities. So solutions are there, and for us here, I'll just go straight to the solutions. Number one, okay, we have a problem of not implementing plans in this state. Beginning from the first Port Harcourt master plan that was done in 1959 to the other plans that were done by Nixon and Boyce, about 18 master plans were done for Port Harcourt and its environs, including Diob and Borokri. And then we had the 1975 master plan that was done by Specialist Consort to the Greater Port Harcourt master plan. We have a problem of not implementing our plans. So I think that the first thing we need to do is to implement our plans. In fact, we should even go back and dust up some of these plans, including the stormwater master plan that was done by Dan Henderson. Dust up these plans.
Are they still there?
They are there. Yes, of course. You want me to give you? I have copies of them.
Oh, you have copies?
Yeah, I have copies of them.
So one will be saying, oh, this is will not be available.
No.
For you to say you have copies of them, that means
they are there. In fact, I have some in my car there. I can bring them for you. Okay. So we have copies of them. So we need to dust up these plans, and then we can now do a preliminary investigation, because of course most of them would have outlived their relevance because of the time at which they were prepared. They will now look at the current issues as to our annual rainfall issues, which are information we can obtain from NIMET, you understand. And then the surveyors are there. They will go do a topo survey of the area, generate the information. Technology is available. Technology is available to help us predict our flood levels. Interwater needs to be expanded, okay, because it has outlived its current capacity.
I'm looking at that. Interwater is one.
Interwater is the one. Yes, that's the one you complete. But that goes through GRA from the water that comes. All the water that comes from Rumi, GRA.
There have been some buildings built close to it in some areas.
Yes, in some part of GRA.
We're talking about expanding. It means
that's what it means.
Some of these buildings will have to be chamfered.
Not demolished. Okay. Yes. Okay. Look. What I'm talking about will come with a huge cost. Mm-hmm. Look, stormwater plans are not. There's not
very fine estate along that Cherubim Road that is built very close to. So something like that will give.
Okay, stormwater plans are expensive because you're going to end up building tunnels that can swallow this you're building.
Okay.
Do you understand? So it will come with a huge cost, even on the side of government, and government must have most of that political will to fund it and implement it. So buildings will give way, and so there will be social costs. The people must be when you see and you're shouting. Flood they kill us. Let me
quickly chip in. It means that a government can take as a project, probably like our flower project that we're doing in River State or Port Harcourt, River State. Yes, we could say we could take this stormwater project as a huge project rather than build a building that people are seeing. We'll have this being sorted out and build it. The government can take that as a plan.
In fact, Mr. Speaker, let me say this that. The governor of River State has done so much in respect to urban renewal and upgrade of infrastructure in Port Harcourt. It's visible, you can see them. But I think that there's one more project he needs to embark on. Which is this? It is the stormwater master plan of Port Harcourt. And I tell you, if he does that, it will be an icing on on the cake, for his project delivery and what he has been able to do for the city of Port Harcourt.
Is it possible that the building of all these flyovers we have in Port Harcourt is also attributing to the flooding?
Oh, well, I will not be in a hurry to rush into saying that.
The roads are reconstructed.
Yes.
Some gutters are being formed. Some shallow. Some really, really shallow are being formed. The diverting and maybe you're channeling the flow. Maybe that is resulting.
Okay. Well, you see, Mr. Speaker, I will not be in a hurry to be emphatic on that, because that will require you to do some investigation. Okay. Now, I didn't also want to go into the issues of design, because the design of your stormwater also has its pros and cons. Okay. For example, if you're using open drain or closed drain, if you're using concrete,
we'll have a lot of closed drains around us.
If you're using concrete drains that are designed in trapezoid shapes, or you're using pipes, hollowed pipes, they all have their pros and cons, because there are some that will just require that the flow will be very seamless because of velocity. Do you understand? And then there are some that at some point it will require you to apply some.
We might have to take the infrastructural development as it has to do with our kind of gullies and gutters.
Of course.
As a topic.
Yeah, because remember, there are some years, I think it wasn't during Amechi's time, where they came and started changing some of our drains to, they started using pipes.
Yes.
You understand? So all those have its pros and cons, because you have the challenges of the manholes where you need to come in and desilt and clean.
Especially in Ikwere Road, I think this government is even closing up some of the gutters that were heated to open.
No, what they are doing is they are converting the open drains to cover drains.
Cover drains, yeah. Okay, that's the terminology.
Yes, and that for me is not it's not a problem if you have been able to factor in your level as to how the water will flow and discharge. Okay. And if you have been able to introduce the chambers, the inspection chambers where you can come in and desilt and maintain.
I knew we'll struggle to fuse this program into just an hour. We'll have about 10 minutes more. We'll not start taking those.
Yeah.
But let's see if we could, at least, if we don't talk about solutions, then our talk is incomplete. So let's wrap up on the solutions.
Okay, so like I said, there may be need for us to look at our facilities. And
you pointed out there's one call you've made here. The government, if he can, if the governor of, if our government can push this issue of stormwater.
It will be an icing on the cake, yeah, because I trust the governor, because he's one man who has the capacity to deliver projects in few months. You understand? Because he has that force.
And then the Secretary of the State Government had met with local government areas and talked about people.
Those are just those are just stakeholders engagement, and those are just like palliatives. You understand?
Not solve the problem.
No. Those are just palliatives.
Can't it serve as a stopgap measure?
Well, yes, it can, because one of the things it will address, of course, will be the issues of our attitude that has to do with dumping of refuse, disposing of our refuse on the drain. So perhaps you can be able to deal with those issues. But beyond that, let's even presume that you have a situation where refuse are not being dumped on the drains. There are other issues, as regards the amount of runoff, which I said has increased. We need to look at the issues of, we're talking about solutions, town planning regulations. For example, if someone submits a building plan to the Ministry of Urban Development or Greater Port Harcourt City, these are the approval agencies, there should be regulations to say that if you have developed 40% of your land and you have 60% as open, that out of that 60%, you should be able to have a percentage of that as green, as not hard paved area. Okay. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. Okay. Because what you see in most places is that
area, people like doing the German floor.
You German floor, or you use floor tiles.
Floor tiles. This is one
interlocking tiles. Tiles, so that's what you see in most places. So when you begin to have more paved areas, look, okay, it will increase your runoff. So we need to start looking at, perhaps out of your 60% open space, you need to have either 25% or 30% of that as green. And then you can landscape the other areas and then pave the other areas. So what that happens is that it will be able to also soak up water and reduce runoff. And then, of course, you need to look at issues of our solid waste management. We must be able to manage our solid waste properly. And then we must look at engineering solutions to our problems. There are engineering solutions that we can bring in to take care of the issues of stormwater. And then, of course, development control is key. The government should be able to fund the town planning agencies, the Ministry of Urban Development, Greater Port Harcourt City Development Authority, so that they can be able to regulate development. If you go to these stormwater channels, you will see a whole lot of buildings. New ones are even coming up as I speak with you.
So are you saying...
So the government should be able to regulate those who are carrying on untoward practices in the built environment.
Hold on a second. Are you saying that these parastatals are not being well funded by the government? That's why they are not being able to do the job to cope this issue?
I think that they are not at their best at the moment. And
is it the normal pattern, public service pattern?
Oh yeah, of course. That could also be it. So that's why I'm saying that professionals, we also have our role to play. So for those of our colleagues who are in government agencies, You understand? They should also be able to do their bidding. They should be able to speak to. They have PAM secretaries. They have commissioners who now speaks to the governor. So they should be able to come up with solutions and ideas. They can of course interface with those of us who are in practice, and then we can collaborate and then profess solutions so that we can begin to deal with these issues. Because look, Double O, we must understand that. The issues of sustainability and resilience are very key, and if we do not take proactive steps, like I usually say, it's either we plan or we perish. It's either we organize or we agonize, or it is either we ignore town planning at our own peril. So we must do something.
We are actually, it seems as though we're ignoring it at our own peril. It seems like we are perishing. That's what it looks like, because we're really grounding. This thing is really hitting us hard. What happened this week? It was projected that it would rain 3 days non-stop, thunderstorms and the rest of it. We knew it was coming, but there was no measure for us to curb what was coming, because whatever we saw, we took. We didn't have anything. And even till now, we've had statements. I want us to see action. I hope we could see action, even if it's a stopgap measure, so that things can start being put in place to at least forestall what may comfort as a result of the rains. The rains have not stopped. We're still in September. We still have October. We still have November. In our climes, it is only until December that the rains will calm down a little.
And you never can tell what will even be the case next year. You understand? Because with climate change, you're going to be having more intense torrential rain.
Let's see if we could take a call or two. It's still the Parliament in which 99.5 FM Port Harcourt discussing the challenges of flooding in Port Harcourt's come its environs. 0708-029-5995, 0907-084-9073, and 0702-500-207. Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning. Are you there? I can't hear you. Hello. You didn't say anything. Call us back if you can. The numbers again: 0708 029 5995, 0907 084 9073, and 0702 500 207. Good morning to you. Hello, good morning. Captain, welcome. Have your say.
Your guest is well detailed and well informed. But the area I disagree with you. He said that this government has done improving the status of this state. This argument even started when the past government was in office. They are like people that supported the Greater Port Harcourt was the other side. People that did not support Greater Port Harcourt was the other side. And what happened that when that government left, everything about Greater Port Harcourt died. And this government stepped on top of that belief, killed the Greater Port Harcourt master plan. So any government that did not support all the plans they have for Greater Port Harcourt has been jettisoned. Almost all. People are building, and the people that are doing this thing are more of the government officials. They are the ones abusing this environment, doing everything. The professionals are doing their best, but what it takes to supervise the building plan anymore, they don't approve anything again. People are on their own.
Okay, Captain.
Okay?
Yes. Yes, please. Go ahead.
I said, okay, let me tell you. When it wasn't the psychiatrist route. Do you know the psychiatrist route?
Yes, I do. Rumigbo.
Fine. Studio Kocha, I saw him supervising that route. What he did was to build a drainage from Ibrahim Road, build a drainage from Omola. Stop it. I don't know what was with really, maybe because of Brett and Megulata Act. Do you know what this present government did? When they came in, instead of them continuing that the drainage, they jettisoned that drainage system and resurfaced that road. That was That is to tell you that the government has no plan about drainage system in this Port Harcourt. So your guest got it on, but to say that this government has done enough, I disagree.
All right, thank you very much, Caption. He disagrees with the with your statement that the government has done enough. And is it issues about rulership, government, politics? Is he affecting us too?
No. I think he needs to put my statement in context.
Okay.
Of course, I didn't say this government has done enough. I wouldn't say that. Government can never do enough. That's the reason why we elected them. What I said was that the government has done much in upgrading facilities in Port Harcourt. I was talking about, remember we were looking at the flooding in Port Harcourt. So I was contextualizing my statement in respect to what the governor has done in Port Harcourt. And I did say that for him to have an icing on the cake, that there is need for him to go ahead and implement the Port Harcourt Stormwater Master Plan. So I think we should put that in perspective.
Hello, good morning to you. We lost that one. Call us back if you can. Our time is really fast spent. Okay, let me see. I could be able to squeeze in one more call if it comes now. Otherwise, I will just take the final thoughts from my guests at 070802959995. I heard it's raining already.
So
right here in the studio, we may not know when it's raining because it's all of the soundproof.
So we may even be dealing with the issues we are talking about as we go out.
Okay. Finally, on this, what's the way forward as a stopgap measure? What should be done urgently so we don't have a repeat of what happened on Tuesday and Monday?
Okay, I think that as a stopgap measure, there's need for stakeholders engagement, which is what the government has started.
Okay.
And then there's need for more advocacy. We need to inform our people that when you dispose your refuse on the drains, that there's going to be a backlash, and we all are going to suffer for it. And then, of course, the government needs to immediately, urgently, I would say, constitute a team that will look into these issues of stormwater, and it will be multidisciplinary: town planners, surveyors, engineers. I mean, okay, I'm a town planner and I can even offer free voluntary services
to the government.
Exactly.
Hello, good morning to you. Welcome. What's your name, please?
My name is Obed.
Obed, good to have you join us. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling from Port Harcourt here. I like the contribution of the man in the studio there, Mr. Edmond Wakeze. He's somebody I know very well. But there's one thing I wanted to add is that the issue of pouring of refuse inside of drainages. Can't the government come up with a policy that will make people pay for the collection of their refugees from the homes? Because if you go to certain gated estates and communities, people pay between 3,000 to 5,000 naira per flat for their refuse to be moved by private refuse collectors. Can the government use the Rwanda to do such things and make people pay a token? This could be 500 or 1,000, and they have different people scattered all over the cities collecting refuse from homes as it used to be in that old past. So they do that, it will reduce this issue of people disposing refuse inside of drainages, which is one of the major causes of flooding in the state capital. That's my contribution. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for calling. We do appreciate. I don't know. Is this your field? Is this something you can tackle?
Oh well, Double O. I think that we must realize that the way we organize our settlements, the way we organize the urban space, you know, there is this saying that the way you make your bed, that's how you lie on it. And it's the same thing that plays out here. So when you are selling land as an indigenous landowner, and you are perhaps my Ikwere brother, and you're selling an Ohiamini, you know the land we call the Ohiamini. So you need to have in mind that one day that Ohiamini that you're selling will one day have an impact on your building that is perhaps far away in the heart of the community. Because one day the Harmony that collects water will no longer be able to collect that water, and then there will be a pushback. So we must understand that we owe ourselves the responsibility, either as government or as professionals in the built environment or as citizens, that we should be able to, we should be nationalists in our approach to development
on
issues.
the question of collecting refuse, it's something the government can do, isn't it?
Of course, that's in fact, let me even tell you, Double O, on this refuse issue. The Nigerian Institute of Town Planners will be having our conference in Port Harcourt between 25th and 29th of October. And the theme for that conference is planning human settlements for resilience and sustainability. And the two key issues that we're going to be looking at in that conference will be these issues of waste collection in Port Harcourt. We're looking at how we can be able to deal with this garbage. Because, Port Harcourt is a garden city. So how do we garden this garbage? We need to garden the garbage. And then we'll also be looking at the issues of flooding and other sustainable human settlement practices. So I'm inviting you and